So now we go over to the panel discussion. We need 8 chairs up here, please, and all of the presenters. Erin? Oh. So if they could, all the presenters could come up, please. Yeah, you can see. I've got 8 chairs, so there's that's all right. Mr. Moderator? Here, one chair over here. That's it. This is for the moderator. Yep, there you go. So, questions from the audience. We need a mobile mic. Oh, is there? Oh, all right, okay. Everybody, please make yourselves at home. Right.
Do we have a mic?
I think there's a problem. I think there's a problem with the mic. So, yeah. So, questions from the audience, please, to start with. Here's your moderator. There is a problem with the mic, so when you do give a question, please say it aloud so that we can all hear. The room's pretty good in terms of anechoics. Oh, is it working now?
Actually repeat the question. Maybe it's easier if you repeat the question.
Oh, yes, okay. Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to our discussion panel session. My name is Gökhan Evren. I'm the Director for Communications in Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. Herkese hoş geldiniz diyorum. Öncelikle katılımcılara ve tüm dinleyicilere çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Birbirinden ilginç 7 tane sunum dinledik. Şimdi hep beraber soru ve cevap oturumuna ve tartışma oturumuna geçiyoruz. Burada tabii ki önemli olan katılımcılarımıza, seyircilerimizden gelecek olan sorular. Bununla birlikte hızlandırmak için veya canlandırmak için bizim tarafımızdan Mr. Barry Watson and I may also ask questions to the panelists. And şimdi dinleyicilerden soru sormak isteyen kim var arkadaşlar? Alabilir miyiz soruları hızlıca? Evet. Evet, hızlandırmak veya biraz canlandırmak için we may ask questions from the moderator or from the chairman.
Start the questions.
Okay.
I'll have one here with Turksat. Turksat, are you considering V-band in terms of higher frequency systems for the future V-band satellites?
V-band satellite.
Yeah.
Currently, we have some, regulations application in terms of these sections. Currently, we don't have any orbital rights, but we are working on this new technology improvements. Okay. We have some dedicated directors for new regulations, new frequency bands, and I know that we have application for that.
Okay. And likewise, the same question to Mr. Hughes. So, Mario. Yeah. V-band.
Yeah, the V-band, let's say Q and V-band, so the same for the up and down link. We are not producing the real part of the RF, of the hub station, the gateway, and but our product is able, and then we are developing some software release to be compatible with the Q and V in the future. Also in the remote side, we are going to produce, or we are going to buy from the market and then resell to the customer, also the key RF section on the terminal. What I highlight that is we are also in conjunction with the QV, so we are also increase the satellite, the bandwidth from the terminal and from the gateway, much more than we have now, that is 250 megahertz bandwidth with one single carrier. So we are also increase this bandwidth for the future, for the QV, also for the KA, with the new version of the satellite.
Thank you. I would like to ask a question to all of the panelists. As some of the speakers already mentioned, 5G is coming by the year 2019 or 2020, and satellite is already providing an alternative in terms of cellular backhaul. And will it be also be an alternative in the backhaul in 5G? Does it provide necessary bandwidth? Does it provide necessary cost advantage in terms of alternative backhaul technologies? Who would like to answer first?
Okay, so 5G is a challenge. So what we see, the aggregation between satellites and 5G is, in our view, is to use the satellite as a backhaul of the 5G. I don't know if in the future we can have a satellite as an alternative of 5G, because 5G is more focused on data communication, less voice, more data. So I doubt that we can compete in this field with 5G. The two solution is connected at the backhaul level. This is what we, in terms of use, what we are developing, the new platform to support 5G backhauling, the new software and new strategy for this. Respond to your question, if the satellite can compete or can replace the 5G, this is a tough question, because I think 5G, in terms of cost, I say, in terms of bandwidth, the satellite can support, but in terms of cost, maybe 5G will be, I think, competitive compared with the satellite.
Let's say in terms of bridging the digital divide, in terms of providing 5G to rural areas as well, because the transmission or backhaul to all these rural areas with traditional ways will be more costly. And can it be an alternative?
From SES, I echo what my colleague said. From SES perspective, we don't see 5G as a threat. Actually, we see it as we can complement the technology, especially with the latency satellites we have, O3B and mPOWER. And back to your point, to rural areas, they cannot cover the whole world. I mean, so we definitely will work hand in hand together. I don't see this as a threat at all. Actually, I see it as an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you on this field, on this sentence, but on the hybrid network, it could be the solution. So using 5G as a primary and satellite as a backup, or vice versa. But we have also to put another layer on top of this to technology that could be SD-WAN. Because traffic can be optimized on the two transport link, that is satellite and 5G, And also because the trend of the market is to use virtualization on the cloud. So all the application now will be allocated in the cloud, and the centralization will be lower. So at this point, the traffic will increase on the transport layer. So we have to optimize this traffic using an SD technology, a software-defined technology. Otherwise, we will collapse the network because the data flow is very, very high.
Okay. There's another answer there. Yasat.
I'm coming from a more commercial perspective. Of course, technical challenges can be solved, and we, satellite operators have been always cooperative on this to manage the technical challenges, and we have great engineers who understands both worlds. So the technical challenges could be done. But on the commercial and partnership level, until now, this is, I think, we need to put it on the ground. Satellite operators couldn't find telcos, telcos who could cooperate on 5G, even 4G. We couldn't cooperate that much on an extensive level globally. From time to time, from regions, from some vertical markets, we have done it. But on a global level, we could never manage to get such a big opportunity. This 5G opportunity, bundled with coming new LEO constellations, MEO constellations, this is a great opportunity for the start of the commercial partnership. And I think that's the key to make 5G as a hybrid network together with the satellite. Business model is more important, and business model, when I say business model, satellite operators have to be more flexible in terms of charging on the money, for example. So that business model can create a very high level volume of business, but that is not yet done between satellite operators and the telcos and cellcos. I think that's the biggest challenge, I think, for 5G as well.
Thank you. We are approaching to the last 10 minutes. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes? Yes, please.
First of all, thank you for your all presentations. My question is, actually this is an important question for me. You know, Elon Musk's SpaceX has announced they are planning in long term to send more than 4,000 satellites to the low orbit to provide internet access to all around the world. First question is that technically possible? And the second question is, isn't that a threat for the satellite operators? Thank you.
Very quickly, I think there are challenges. Definitely, they have put 2 satellites on it. They are testing on it. There are some challenges, and there are some rumors in the market that successful, not successful. But there are others as well who has got approvals from FCC. That's coming. That's for sure coming. There will be LEO constellations, and it's a threat to us. You never know. We as satellite operators always cooperate. We get capacity from each other. Even though sometimes we compete, we are very cooperative, and we satellite operators talk to everyone among ourselves in the industry, because it's a small industry, and there is opportunities of partnership.
Yes, thanks. I echo what my colleague said. However, we think, as I see, is that LEO is still a concept. It's academically makes sense, but it's not proven yet. With what we did in MEO, it's proven technology, people using it, it's working everywhere. We've taken it to the next level. So remain to be tested, to answer your question. Yeah, I mean, on practical level, just not academics, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sayan.
Yeah, I would like to add some issues. Of course, this is a big discussion point currently in the satellite market. Big challenges. The main discussion of course, technically is possible, I can say, but we will see what will happen. I mean, in terms of the cost, not only the space segment, but on the other side, the ground segment is not the big discussion. Currently, as you know, numbers is really high, and mostly they are focused on the space segment, but on the other hand, the big challenge will be, in terms of the cost, will be in the ground side. So it will continue, I think this discussion, but I think in any case, all the service provider, operators, manufacturer will be in these discussions. It will be a long discussion, I think, ongoing, because in any case, there should be a circulation in the this market for the operators and also manufacturers. So I think the big discussion will be mostly on the cost side.
Thank you.
I have a question. Frequency coordination is an issue even for geo satellites at the moment. With the new MEO and LEO satellites, how can be handled? How can be solved this problem? Any panelists can be answer this question.
Any volunteer? Mr.
I'm not the expert actually in we have a huge department in SES just doing that frequency coordination, but I never heard an issue with the K-band MEO. I think it's been sorted out already. But I can find out and get you more information. Yeah.
Can talk about my experience, Yuke's experience. So we are involved in this LEO OneWeb constellation, and we are in testing phase. So we have already 2 gateways working, and will be launched satellite soon. So there is no any, let's say, what I know, there is no any issues about the coordination between frequency, geo frequency and LEO frequency satellites. So
Micro and nano satellite as well. I mean, I know SES has a solution at the moment for 3B and geo satellites. But I mean, in the new future, we know that there will be thousands of satellites on orbit. So that's why I asked this question.
It's a very valid and very good question actually. But what I'm hearing on the orbit slots in MEO is no issues like in GEO. Now in GEO we spend days, if not weeks, coordinating with the neighbors to make sure there's no, excessive power, no interference, etc., etc. In what I keep hearing in the company, in me there's no such issue. It's been allocated already, been coordinated already. So there's no issues that I hear about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other question from the audience? Yes, please. Bu arada Türkçe'de sorabiliriz arkadaşlar. Çevirmen var nasılsa. Rahat olabiliriz bu konuda.
In Yahsat presentation, you mentioned about operating frequency of IoT satellites are not under the regulation of ITU. Could you more briefly clarify the sentence? I couldn't understand.
Actually, I mentioned it specifically because that's a very interesting topic, the frequency. Frequency is a very scarce thing, and as Hüseyin mentioned, it can take months among satellite operators to coordinate on GEO. And it's very scarce, and ITU started to be more strict on the rules there because we have only one scarce place. And that's why now on the LEO, I've been attending conferences, and there are some startup sections in usually these satellite communication or space conferences. Then I have seen lots of startups emerging who is targeting IoT segment mainly. And when I ask about the frequency question, they are proprietary copyrighted, that they don't disclose much about it, but they say they basically showed me an ITU response saying they don't need, for this constellation, they don't need any ITU regulations. How that could be possible is a question mark, as should be cautiously, but I've seen many, more than one. So that means there is something growing there. And my colleague from STM, they are working on it. I think she can maybe give a brief, but that is coming up. And these startups are coming up. I met one from Japan, one in Luxembourg, one in Dubai. So that means there is something that could be leveraged there. And I think for IoT segment, that could be looked up. there is a great opportunity.
As far as we are concerned, we are still working on the concept of IoT at the space segment level. STM is mostly focused on the satellite part, but we are still searching for the ground segment and for the frequency allocation activities. In some of the constellations that I have shown in the presentation, the companies, they have already applied for their IO2 frequencies, especially for the Kepler constellation. As I remember, it's in Ka band, and they already have their allocations. But we are trying to follow what the other constellations are doing in this subject. Currently, we don't have the answer also. What is going to happen when we have a constellation of 100 satellites, and how do we apply for the frequency for these?
Thank you. Another question? Okay, I will ask another question, especially to our international participants. What kind of market opportunities, potential opportunities do you see in Turkey? What kind of market opportunities you see in Turkey?
Okay, so opportunity in Turkey in terms of market is, since the future satellite is growing up in terms of satellite bandwidth, in terms of bandwidth. So I think the major point here for the market is a very high HTS. So we can provide all the application, all the market can support more bandwidth in demand application, more bandwidth in demand from the end user. This is what I see here in Turkey. Also, I don't know the situation that you have for 5G, but I think also this is one of the opportunities that can be explored to have hybrid networks, 5G and satellite.
Yeah, hi. So we, from SES, we see a lot of opportunities here. It depends on, I mean, it's a great hub, as Turkey. There's how do I put it? There's a lot of difficult countries next to you, which, you know, we can work with Turkey to help us get there, and we have good relationship with companies here, like Profin and BT and all. It depends, again, application. You can use it for maritime, you know, you can use it for aeros, in-flight connectivity, all those things. There's Navy, name it. You know, there's. I know we have local competition, we have competition here, but you know, I think the cake can take everybody. That's how I see it. It depends on what can we. I see a lot of opportunities for us. We can add value for the Turkish market and the neighboring countries, using Turkish companies.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Ahmet?
I am heavily involved in Turkish market. I can say this is the most competitive market in terms of Ka band. We provide the lowest prices around the world in Turkey. Because the demand is so high, they are pushing us so hard here because there are many operators. But having said this, the opportunity laying on the ground is so huge that all of our operators, all of us, cannot even match the demand if that markets could be opened up. That could be 4G, 5G. Just to mention a very simple one, very specific one. We have in Turkey now 12,500 around VSAT right now. But only in Turkey there is more than 10,000 marble mines. Only in Turkey, marble mines. And it's in Western Turkey. Only in Turkey, when you look at the energy lines for any VSAT application, CCTV, security, you name it, there is more than 50,000 potential in terms of energy sector, wind or solar energy farms. These are remote places that need satellite connectivity. So when you see today, the potential only today is more than maybe 20,000, 30,000 already, and over the past years it should be going to 50,000. as I said, 4 million around the world for satellite broadband. That's not much. It's a niche. When you think of it, it's 0.5% of the overall global homes, let's say. So in Turkey, that's 20 million households. When you take this 1-2% of it, it's a great number for satellites. And as I said, the demand could be so huge. But as operators, as in the ecosystem, we need to open up the markets. If we can open up the markets, we cannot match the demand. We need to launch new satellites. So that's very competitive and very demanding market, but the potential is also that high.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, please.
First, thank you to all speakers. My question is especially to international satellite operators. In the future, in 5 years' time, there may be much more satellites. So, is there any policy about pollution in the satellite? Do you have any institution to clean these old satellites?
I really don't have an answer. We cannot go green up there. Maybe we'll send some of them to inclined. Yeah. I don't have an answer really, but I'm sure the scientists and the experts looked into that, and there's a lot of space up there. I mean, GEO is very busy. MEO, it's not that busy. LEO is even getting. I don't know how close they'll get to us. But I don't see its space is huge. I mean, I'm not Stephen Hawking, but it's massive there. I mean, maybe if you think just Earth, this is nothing. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but we're really a point in the universe. So I don't think there's an issue there. I think. Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, SpaceX made a contract with NASA for the removal of 7,000 number of these space missions. I think this is currently the private, or depends on the countries itself working, but there are not so global regulation in this sector. But there are some rules in terms of the launchers and also operators. For example, when you launch the satellite, some parts must turn back to Turkey, turn back to space and burn in the in the space division. So such a regulation is already set up, but as I agree with you that it should be improved for future policies.
Just one point there.
Yeah.
There is a problem. There's 35,000 pieces of space junk there now. And somebody's got to go and do the garbage collection of clearing that up. But it's a really serious problem. So
we will see garbage satellites in the near future. Yeah. Recycle.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah, just a quick question. So one of the things you said about the challenges we're facing with the amount, there's a lot of demand in Turkey. You talk about 50, 100,000 potential terminals that are needed out there. I hear this in every country, but we all know in the satellite industry what the challenge is. Are the challenges in Turkey the same we're facing in other countries in terms of the cost of the ground equipment, the cost of the space segment, and the average cost of the fully deployed unit is too high for the average user? That's the first question. The second question I'm more interested in is about mobility. Trains. Turkey's got a big train network. Have any of you guys looked at deploying your systems for true mobility? Maritime's obviously well versed and well used. Aviation's coming with IFC. But trains, I haven't heard too much about train connectivity, but satellite is the only way to connect those trains, especially for passenger and freight connectivity. So I'd love to hear your analysis on that.
Yeah, first question, our biggest challenge, as you said, is the CPE terminal. The terminal expenses, as I mentioned, it's not a mass market, and we cannot drop it further down. For me, it should be below $100. And unfortunately, right now, we are not at that level. But that's the key. And with the LEO constellations, that might come down below 100. That's if any one of them comes down, that could be that is one challenge. But we are overcoming that challenge by offering long-term contracts and CPE rental. We are kind of over financing it from our end as a satelliter or our service partners. We are partnering with them. So we are kind of overcoming that. The other problem is the capacity cost. Capacity cost we lowered down quite a bit with HTS, but still the HTS architecture, as you know very well, is that we have several gateways in less places, let's say. Not every country we have these opportunities. But of course now the trend is the countries are requesting, and Turkey is one of them, in-country gateways. That also prevents us a little bit on the lowering the cost part, but regulation we have to obey, so we have to come up with these challenges that every single time. And the new satellite segments, I think, should be more flexible to overcome these challenges. But the cost per bit on the satellite segment will come down a bit with maybe LEO a little bit more, but on current HTS, maybe V and Q bands, if they come into picture, yes, that will be maybe terrestrial levels at that time, but still, ground equipment is the key. Second, on the trains, Turkey has a special case for it. Turkey recently started to develop high-speed trains, and when they are building the train, the railway, usually the contractors also had to build the 4G structures, 3G, 4G infrastructure with it. So that opportunity is a little bit close on that end. But Aero market, I think Aero market is a great market for Turkey, maritime as well, obviously, but Aero is the new one because of this new airport in Istanbul. This Aero thing, because that's going to be a big, big thing. As I mentioned, satellite operators may be in close feature in a position that cannot match the demand and need to, bring new HTS satellites. And that's what we are hoping for, obviously.
Thanks. If I may add to answer your question, again, the name of the game here is antenna. So if we have a cooperation with a company like yours to do that, it's because literally, cannot put a huge antenna on a train, and we're very interested in that as SCS with the MEO constellation. And the requirement of gateway in country, we're not neglecting that. Turkey is an extremely important market. We see trains as a good market. We see, one of the beauty of MEO is if you look at we have like the Royal Caribbean, great example. You can Google it. It was O3B. The satellite, go after the boat. It's not the other way around. So wherever the guy goes on the boat, it is followed. The same thing can be applied on trains. Conceptually. So I think thanks for bringing this up. I think this is a great idea to consider it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have to take care of the tunnel for the train. Because, for example, in Italy, we have some example of the high-speed train, but the 85% of the track is under the tunnel. So we made some solutions. So on board of the train there is a hybrid network, satellite and Wi-Fi inside, and LTE outside.
Yes, if we don't have any other question, we have already exceeded our time.
Just one. I don't know.
Is there any one last?
Take routes with no tunnels.
$100 user terminal. That's never going to happen, I don't think. Maybe, but somebody's got to invent it. Can I just ask one final question? We're going up to the 3rd floor for lunch, and we want to be back at, what does it say, 14:30 hours?
Yes, 14:30.
So, okay, just 1 minute. Elif, if you've got so many of these small satellites, isn't there going to be a problem for launching these? If there's thousands of those, so how are you going to launch all of those, in an appropriate manner?
Most of the constellations consist of at least 100 satellites. So we have to manage somehow how to launch these actually sets of satellites. it depends on what is your constellation going to do in the mission. These satellites may be in the same orbital plane or maybe not. You have to launch them in the single launch if they are on the orbital plane. That will mostly depend on what your mission is in the constellation. So it's not a problem how many satellites you are going to launch. It's the problem what is your mission and how many launches you should have for one single constellation. So that is the question that the customer or the satellite manufacturer should answer in the beginning. So we have to plan to make the satellite development schedule and to make the actually launch schedule.
Thank you. Final question, quickly, please.
Again, since there is the huge opportunity in Turkey, as our BTK president mentioned about the regulations to have the gateways locally in Turkey, have you already evaluated or what's the roadmap or plans to have gateways in Turkey?
Yeah, is that an obstacle for you to serve or for you to enter to Turkish market?
No, we know this is a requirement, but again, as in business, it's also about the numbers. It has to make sense. So when we do a business case, okay, we can have good business leads on, and that's why it will hopefully not take time. But if we can figure out how much can we get from maritime business, from aero, from backhauling, from trains business, and then it can make a perfect sense. We can make the case to our management to invest in it. There's no issue in that if it makes sense. Again, as I mentioned, Turkey is a great hub also. If it makes sense to put it here to serve other countries, the neighboring, which we don't have access. So we're taking it very seriously, absolutely. But we haven't started yet because I need to do some numbers crunching. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Ahmet?
Yes.
Actually, we are operating in Turkey since 2013, outside country gateways. But we have done a commitment to BTK that for our next launch and next satellite, we will put a gateway here in Turkey. In between, we are also working with BTK to make sure that, which has been already the case since 2013, we are in coordination with BTK on every single regulation that is available in any ISP here. Our service partners and us are complying with it, with BTK regulations. And for the next satellites that we're going to put in space, we already committed for an in-country gateway in Turkey. So that's for us, we don't see any issues because we are complying with BTK regulations since from the beginning, and we will continue to do so.
Okay, thank you for compliance.
I think we'd better stop there because we're going to overrun and everybody's hungry.
Yes, we are going to lunch break.
May I present this to you for your participation as a moderator. So thank you very much. There. And can we have a group photograph here, please, with the presenters? Oh, yeah?
You're the boss.
All right, here we are. Here we go. Hello, there he is. Thank you. Well done, guys. Yeah, well done. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right, good, yeah, good, nice job. Yeah, good contribution.
Thank you.
Can I take you? Yeah, yeah. Okay.